Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you all the reads of my 2024 and my short reviews on those books. In no particular order, I will tell you all the books that I read and what are my viewpoints on it. Of course, when you read those books, your viewpoints can be different. The book that I read for this year was by Fredrick Backman. That book is Anxious People, and what an amazing book. When I started the year, I could not believe for the longest time that this is how the year has started in terms of book for me, because it's an amazing book. There's so many emotions that book will deliver to you. Of course, there's a mystery. So basically the story is around the fact that there has been a robbery in a building, and there are 8 people who went to see a flat in a building, and after that they were held hostage in the building. And then there is background stories of these 8 people and how this robber escapes or doesn't escape, who the robber is, and all the stories behind it and around it. So there are multiple POVs also around it. So that's the beauty of the book. It shows a lot of emotions, the emotions coming on different topics by others. So yeah, I would say that it's a very impactful for you when you read it, because you will remember it definitely for a long time. So that's the first book. Then I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have the copy here as well. So yeah, I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So let me first tell you that some books I read on my iPad, some books I have physical copy of. So this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid, this book. And what a book, guys, what a book. I initially purchased it with a different understanding for the book. I thought there's this woman who has 7 husbands. I didn't realize that those 7 husbands are at different times. But the story also is, if you have 7 husbands, who was the actual person that you loved, and how the story is. So this is an Broadway actress, if I'm not wrong, in the early 90s, I would like to say, but in the early time. And then she narrates her story at her old age and tells her life events and story, and tells this a journalist to write her story in true to its sense. And then she goes on to narrate her story. Beautiful story, really nicely said. The language is easy, and I think whatever Taylor Jenkins Reid writes, it's really gripping and really easy to read. And that is one of the point that I really liked it, and I just ate it up. I think I finished it in like 2 days maybe, and that is why I would say it's almost like a 4-star read, and it's amazing. After this, let me remember, what did I read? Yeah, after this I read a book and I finished it in a night. And I remember at night I was bawling my eyes out when I was reading this, and I must have the physical copy, because I remember I started this book. So the book is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. There's also a next part of this. I never went to read that, but what a book. And what a concept. I mean, I really like these unique concepts in book that actually doesn't exist in real life. I would give you a very absurd understanding of the concept. You might say that it's really stupid to say this, but so basically there's this place where where the concept is, you get a call that you are going to die in the next 24 hours. And that call, when you get, you know that in the next 24 hours I can die anytime. And then there's this journey of these 2 people, which is Matthew and Rufus, and how they know that in 24 hours they are going to die, and then how their world collides, and how they decide that they want to spend their last 24 hours or whatever time they have in these 24 hours with each other. Okay, then I picked up the book called The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas by Boynte. It's a fable. It's about 210 pages. It's really short. And I remember I picked it up when I was in a period when I could not spend like 300, 400 pages. I could not read 300, 400 pages at that point. So I thought something short would work to like motivate me to read more. So I picked this book up. It's very short. If you want to start reading, this is a great book. If you don't want to start reading, there's a movie also on it. The movie is equally amazing. And I really enjoy reading books which are around the time of World War, World War One, World War Two. So yeah, if you want, there's a child and there's World War, and how the story unravels, how this child doesn't understand all of this, and how things turns out. I don't want to tell you much, but it is really moving. Either read the book or watch the movie, whatever you want. Both are good. But yeah, amazing book. For starters, if you are not into reading this, I think this can be a good book to start. Okay, then I also read Happy Place by Emily Henry. I know the author, and this book is very hyped, and I don't know why this is hyped, honestly. I read it and I actually went into this because of the hype, and I just didn't understand like why this was so hyped. There must be something that I could not understand, and I'm sure that I can give it a try again, but right now I don't think I liked it when I read it. I know that Beach Read and other books are equally famous. I want to give them a chance again and maybe come back to it. Never say never for any book. But yeah, I just did not work out for me. There's something that I could not understand initially when I read it. Maybe it can be my summer read for this year again, like reread sort of to understand, because I don't know what this book has delivered that there's so much hype around it. Because I feel like when I went knowing that there was so much hype, I could not enjoy the book. I think that was my problem with the book, because it's too hyped. I mean, it's a good book, but the hype is not justified, and that is why I think it just ruined my experience with the book. But I am sure if I read again, I may get answers to why this is so hyped, but right now I don't feel this should be so hyped. After reading all of this, I think 4-5 books, I had a lot of work to do, so I could not give so much time to reading, so I stopped for a while. But then I wanted to get back to it, so I found audiobooks, and my life has changed. I think if you say that you don't have a lot of time, audiobooks are great. And I personally use audiobooks to read fantasy books because there's graphic audio, and it just creates this whole experience which I love. And then you can actually give a lot of time to like not actually reading it, but listening, and it's great. Like, I have read a lot of books, so now I'll tell you the audiobooks that I read, and amazing. So the first, I actually know that there are 5 books in the Akatar series, but I've read only the first 3 because I felt like when I read the first 3, I felt the story was over for me. I might read the other 2 in future, never say never, but right now I feel like I have read what the story had to offer. The other 2, I have heard a lot of mixed reviews, so I don't want to not say ruin my experience, like change what I feel for the first 3 books. So I read Akatar first. It started with a banger. I thought this is the story, this is how it would proceed. And then the second book came, Wings and Ruins. No, that's the third one. Second came Mist and Fury, the most amazing one. Then the story and the narrative changed, and there's so much to say. I don't know what to tell you in a fantasy book. If you like fantasy book, if you like fairies, I think you can go ahead and read all of these 3 books. I also had I'll just show you. I had also gotten myself to read this on my iPad, so I don't have the physical copy. I didn't buy the physical books because I initially wanted to understand if the series attracts me. It did, but then because I was just going on reading, I finished all 3. So I don't have the physical book, maybe in future. Right now I don't. So I read Akatar, Akomorph and Akowar, all 3. Yeah. So I read this book called Almond by Won-Pyung Sohn. I think it's by a Korean author, and it has been then translated into English. I read it on my iPad. It's a short book again, really amazing. And the book is about a kid who has been born with, there's a part in his brain which doesn't work, and that part of the brain is shaped like an almond. So that is how the name Almond has come, and because of that part which doesn't work, he cannot feel emotion. So he cannot cry, he doesn't understand what is laughing, what is crying, what if you like what is the feeling of joy, how to express it. So all of this he doesn't know, and the journey that takes place with him and everything. So yeah, this is what Almond is, and it was such an amazing book. There's so many things he experiences without understanding how to react to those experiences. Beautiful story, and little tragic also, but amazing concept. That is how I went to the book. Like, I was attracted to the book and I picked up the book. Great. After this, I'll tell you. Okay, if I'm looking there, it's because I'm seeing the focus of my camera. Yeah, after that, I picked Coco, Mellors, Cleopatra and Frankenstein. The name was attractive, so I picked it up. Did I like the book? No, not really. I mean, see, the beauty of this book is there are no characters looking at whom you will feel like they are greatest of great characters. Like everybody has something they do in their life which may give you ick. It will definitely. The main hero in the book, shitty. The heroine in the book, shitty. Their friends in the book, shitty. But I feel like that's the story they want to bring it, of how imperfections are still there, and this book is written with imperfections in them. I just want the hero to be a hero and a heroine to be a heroine. So I just had so much ick with the characters that I couldn't like it. So yeah, Cleopatra and Frankenstein is one that I read. I think it's a unique concept. Some people might like it. I just was too much into the ick factor कि ये क्या कर रहे हैं लोग भाई, क्यों कर रहे हैं, so I could not. Then I read, I think the title of the book is also clever. That's why like most of the people pick it up, but I feel like the title is justified, and the book is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Now, if you tell me there's a book which says this book is better than the movies, I will pick it up to check that what this book has to offer. Yeah, that it is like the author is so confident to tell you that it is better than the movies. And let me tell you, I feel like it is really great book and really nice. Like this is the first book in the year where I realized, oh, I like romance books also. I can read them. Like with Happy Place, I just felt like maybe the genre is not for me. But with this, I was like, yeah, it is for me. It's so bingeable, so fast paced. And like, if you have watched a lot of romance movies, you can imagine the entire scenes that is going on in this book. And beautifully written. There's a second part of it also. I have that's called Nothing Like the Movies. I've yet not read it. But this, I would definitely say 5 out of 5 stars. So amazing, so beautiful. It just felt like I am in the land of To All the Boys I've Loved Before. But like the story is different. But it all, like when I was imagining, I was just there. So yeah, this is really great book. After this, I read a very controversial book. I think my parents would kill me for reading such a book. But I, again, attracted by the title, I picked this book up, and it's called How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie. Yeah, I think it's called Bella Mackie. See, when you read the title, you feel like something is wrong with me. But when you read the book, it all makes sense. So there's this girl who goes and take revenge from her family. But there's stories to why she's taking this revenge, and then it also makes sense that, oh, okay. But then at the end, the story changes a little bit. There's a little suspense, and there's a little bit like, boom. This is also one thing that you guys didn't guess. So yeah, it's beautiful. So how witty she is, how she's doing it, how she's going on killing people, and how she's doing it. So everything is there. If you like books with, you can read this. Apart from that, if you don't like it, you don't read it, because there's like explaining also how she's going on and killing people. Okay, then the last book, no, after this I read one more on my iPad, but the last physical book that I read for the year was The Housemaid by Freida Mcfadden. Now I know there's a movie also coming on this, and there is, who's there? I think there's Sydney Sweeney in this movie. They are actually recording the movie right now, and I saw the reel also. This book is really great. There's like 2 other parts also of this book, but this is the first part. I read it. I would say I guessed it before the book like gave me the answers to a few questions. I guessed a few things in the book, but honestly, it's an easy suspense, mystery, thriller, whatever you want to call it, and it's great read. I would tell you, you guys can pick it up and read it. I guessed it, so I don't give it a 5 star, but it is a 5 star worth. I would give it 4.5 because I guessed it. That's only my reason. After this, I wanted to end my year by reading a classic, and I read The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. It's again a short book, a classic but a short book. If you are a working professional, you read this book. There's so many things, like there's so many metaphors to, like somebody who's working will understand that it's just hard hitting about in the book. So this is a book about a person who works his ass off, like his family depends on him and he works his ass off, and then one day he wakes up and he is an insect now, so he can't go to work, do anything, but he feels in his head that he's so important. He has always been going to office. If he doesn't turn up to the work, his bosses will come, this will happen, that will happen, how will the world run if he's not the one running and working? So yeah, that is one book. It is an interesting concept. I understand there's more deeper levels to that book, but to whatever I could understand, in my understanding, I felt it's a great book and very nicely written, easy to read also, and lovely. So yeah, that is all. I think 15-16 books I read in 2024. Right now I'm reading Thousand Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini. I think a lot of people have already read it. I'm late to the party. So yeah, that's it. That was my video. Bye.